Hi, I'm Yo from Hand to Mind. And yesterday we were introduced to something called repeated addition. Today we're going to take that further and change the name of it from repeated addition to the name you're probably going to call it forever, and that is multiplication. Multiplication is a very important skill to have and master, and you, starting now, are going to be working really hard on mastering your multiplication facts. So, without further ado, let's get started on our fourth lesson for our 11th week for our second grade Teach at Home series as we talk about multiplication and solving problems that have to do with multiplication situations. Let's get started. So, today we're going to work on what we said we'd work on yesterday, and that is multiplication. And specifically, we're going to be solving problems that involve situations or about situations that involve multiplication. Now, you may not have heard of multiplication, or you may have, but the concept or the strategies used in multiplications, if you followed yesterday's lesson, is going to be very familiar to you. Speaking of yesterday's lesson, yesterday we had a problem where we had 4 houses, and each of those houses we were baking 4 cupcakes for. Now, if we wanted to know how many cupcakes did we need to bake altogether. So, in doing so, we added it all up. We had 3 plates of 4 cupcakes in each for all 3 of the houses, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cupcakes in total. Well, what we did in that situation was called repeated addition, which is the process of adding a number to itself 2 or more times. Multiplication is another word for repeated addition. Multiplication is repeated addition. So, for example, in our example of repeated addition yesterday, we had 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which equaled 12. So, we said it's the same thing as saying 4 sets of 3 equals 12. Well, you could also then just say 4 multiplied by 3 equals 12. And if you don't want to say it and just show it, then you can have this set of numerical values. 4 times 3 equals 12. And they all mean the same thing. So, as a mathematician, what would you rather do? 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12, or simply 4 times 3 equals 12. Well, you probably choose the later one, especially if you're dealing with a lot of sets of numbers. For instance, if you're dealing with hundreds of sets of numbers, then you probably don't want to have to say 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 hundreds of times, and that's where multiplication comes in handy. So let's do a problem that involves a multiplication scenario. The Long Island Girl Scout troop is setting up tents at their campsite. They set up 3 rows of tents with 3 tents in each row. How many tents did they set up in total? So I'm going to go ahead and create those tents. We have 3 rows of tents, 3 tents in each row. So you can just count all these up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 3 plus 3 plus 3, repeated addition, equals 3 times 3. Remember, we said it's the same thing. We have 3 sets of 3. 3 times, or 3 times 3. And that equals, as we counted, 9 tenths. So, Mr. Lockhart is setting up his classroom for the school year. To seat all of his students, he created 4 rows with 6 desks in each row. How many students are in Mr. Lockhart's class? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set up those desks. So we have 4 rows, and each row has 6 different desks. So we're going to do the strategy we did yesterday where we grouped them together. So I'm going to group 2 rows together of 6, and when you do 6 plus 6, you get 12 desks. I'm going to do the same thing with the other 2 rows, so you'll get 12 desks there. And now we only have 2 terms to add. 12 plus 12, total you get 24 desks. So Mr. Lockhart has 24 students in his class. 4 times 6 is 24, so we could also write it out like that. 4 times 6, or sometimes when I'm saying it, I'll reverse the last number and the multiplication sign. So then it can be 4 6 times, right? But when you're writing it out, 4 times 6 equals 24. And that's a multiplication problem. All right, Valentino's father is adding cookies to the gift bags at Valentino's birthday party. He is going to add 2 cookies to each bag. If his father needs to make 8 bags, how many cookies will he need? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create the 8 bags, and in each bag we have to put 2 cookies. So, similar idea. I'm going to go ahead and group them together. If we group those two bags, we get 4 cookies. We group those two, we also get 4, 4, and then 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and group the 4 cookies because I don't like 4 terms. I don't want 4 different terms. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like them to be 2 terms. That's the easiest for me to add. So I'm going to group 4 cookies there and 4 cookies there to make 8 cookies. I'm going to do the same on the other side. 8 cookies. And now I'm left with 8 plus 8, and that's going to get me 16 cookies. So Valentino's father will need 16 cookies. Another way you can say it is 2 times 8 is 16. Or 2 8 times is 16. Either way. But when you're writing it out, 2 times 8 equals 16. Okay, Marcia's pet store has 4 fish tanks. If there are 6 fish in each tank, how many fish in total will you find at Marcia's pet store? So we have 4 fish tanks, 6 in each. These numbers are looking kind of familiar to me, but let's go ahead and group them. So 12 fish on each grouping. 12 plus 12, 24. This is a familiar problem. But you will find 24 fish at Marcia's pet store. So that means 4 times 6 is 24. Well, thank you so much for following our lesson. I hope you had fun being introduced to multiplication. Please hold on to this skill and practice, practice, practice it because you will be using it forever. For more resources, please visit hand2mindathome.com, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.